Have you ever felt the need to just disappear? To disconnect, to step away from everything and everyone? Not because you hated the world, but because you needed to find yourself? That's exactly what I did. I disappeared for 6 months. No, I didn't go off grid in the mountains or delete all my social media overnight. But I intentionally stepped back from my normal life, my routines, my responsibilities, my relationships, and chose solitude and silence. I didn't vanish because I was lost. I vanished because I wanted to find who I could become. Let me tell you what those 6 months did for me and how they changed me from the inside out. At first, it was uncomfortable. My phone wasn't buzzing, no one was asking me how I was or what I was doing. For the first few days, I kept reaching for distractions. I was so used to being overstimulated, so used to keeping myself busy that the stillness felt like suffocation. But slowly, that silence became my friend. For the first time in a long time, I started listening, not to podcasts or other people, but to myself. My thoughts, my fears, my dreams, and my doubts. And wow, there was so much noise inside me that I had ignored. In that silence, I faced things I had been running from for years. I confronted my insecurities. I had conversations with myself about the fear of rejection, the pressure to be perfect, and the way I tied my worth to the approval of others. I journaled every day. Sometimes it was messy, sometimes poetic, sometimes just lists of things I didn't understand about myself, but little by little a pattern began to emerge. I was beginning to meet a version of me that I never took the time to know. During those 6 months, I made a commitment. I would stop seeking validation from the outside and start building value from the inside. And that's when the transformation began. I developed patience, not just with others, but with myself. I learned discipline, not the kind that comes from force, but the kind that comes from understanding why I do what I do. I started reading again, not for achievement, but for growth. Books that stretched my mind, authors who challenged my beliefs, stories that mirrored my struggles, and I started taking care of my body, eating better, sleeping more, walking in nature. I didn't do it to look a certain way, but because I realized my body was carrying the emotional weight I had ignored. Most importantly, I learned to be alone without being lonely. Because there's a powerful difference. Loneliness is the pain of not having others. Solitude is the joy of having yourself. When I came back, 6 months later, I wasn't louder, I wasn't bolder, I didn't return with flashy changes or major announcements. But I was grounded. I didn't react the way I used to. I didn't chase after shallow connections. I didn't say yes out of guilt or no out of fear. I knew who I was becoming. And for the first time, I liked that person. You see, in our world today, we're told to always be present, always be producing, always be seen. But what if disappearing isn't about giving up? What if disappearing is about growing up? What if it's not retreating but returning to yourself? Some of us are so busy being everything for everyone else that we forget who we are when it's just us and the mirror. If you feel like you're losing touch with yourself, maybe it's time for your version of 6 months. It doesn't have to be dramatic. You don't have to book a ticket to a mountain or deactivate everything. Just carve out space. Protect your peace. Ask the hard questions. Give yourself permission to pause. Because real personality development doesn't come from pretending to be more confident. It comes from being more authentic. It comes from going deep, where the world can't see, but where the real work happens, and two are after among a three Philiazars in the mass trunk words. Today, I'm back. Not as someone who figured it all out, but as someone who finally figured out how to be. I still stumble. I still have doubts. But I face them with a strength I earned in silence. So if you ever feel like you need to disappear, don't be afraid. Sometimes the best way to grow is to step away. Because when you return, you won't just come back. You'll rise.